Hi, everybody. John here at PT, Dan with Sandler Training, and Lee Frank. How are we, everybody?
Wonderful.
Great.
Excellent. So, welcome back to PT Ask Dan and Lee, and let's talk about Rome. Rome was not built in a day, as the saying goes. I feel like I've got a bunch of proverbs that we're
I
throwing
tell
out at
you
this
what.
point on these things, so bear with me a little bit. But I think I think back to when I started in the business side. I remember looking at really long-term successful advisors, and it was twofold for me. It was I can't wait to get there to experience that kind of success. But at the same time, it was also hard because I realized everything they had been through as I talked to them to get to where they were.
Mm.
So I think a little bit about that short-term urgency addiction and trying to feed affirmation and wallets and success with long-term benefits and micro macro a little bit. So Lee, can you talk a little bit about it from that content marketing side to start us off?
Absolutely. I mean, when I think about this, to me, what we're doing right now is the perfect example of sticking with something for a while.
Yep.
If we had just done 10 of these and you shared them on your LinkedIn over the course of 2 months, this wouldn't have moved the needle. It wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been interesting and it wouldn't have been helpful.
Yep.
But doing something like this every day, and we've been doing them since April, and we're into October, November-ish at this point, and you know, it's moving the needle. People are interested in these. And so I think what you're really talking about is sometimes having faith in the future and the
Mm,
success, but also having faith in what you're producing is good. It's
mm.
interesting. So, I think the idea of kind of being in it for the long game deserves some honest assessment. It's something that you really have to take the time to think about and to evaluate. There's no doubt that giving 3 minutes a day of an actionable sales tip that somebody can walk away with is beneficial. It's great.
Yep.
So, I think really, really assessing things appropriately and honestly is an important piece of it.
Yeah, and being okay if it doesn't play,
Yep.
adapt, but don't surrender necessarily. What about from a sales side, Dan?
Well, so let me use an example health wise. Let's pretend you want to lose 50 pounds. How do you do that quickly? You cut off a leg. Little drastic, right?
Yeah.
How do you do it long term? Well, you can starve yourself. You can use self control to limit, and you could lose 50 pounds. The problem is, unless you worked on your mind, you will gain that weight back and then some. And the key to it is watching what you eat and how you exercise and all that, but training your mind to believe that you are someone that is 50 pounds lighter than you currently are. That's the magic. And so when we look at business, when we look at sales, it's what do we want to be like? What does that person think about? How do they act? What are they like? That's the mind. And then
Yep.
start doing the behaviors, knowing that you'll get there. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And there's the
Yes.
beauty of it all.
Well, I think the other thing it brings me back to as you're talking that through, Dan, that not enough people set goals, monitor goals, and track themselves.
Mhm.
And that goal setting aspect ties in with exactly what you just described and making sure you're measuring yourself along the way. And it applies to content and all that good stuff too.
Yep, totally agree. Good summary, John.
Hey, thank you. All right, everybody. See you again tomorrow.
Bye
Take care.
bye.